Today we are going to be unboxing the brand new standalone mug press from AM.CO. And today in this video I'll show you how to sublimate on mugs and the tips and tricks behind it. Now that we've taken it out of the box, we can clearly see what we've got lying here. And to start off with, we've got our power cable and our standalone heat press. Now that we've removed the cable binder, we can now plug in our kettle plug power point. I'm going to take our power cable and plug it in. Once we've done that, we can flip it back around so that you can see the control panel. Now all we have to do is plug it into power. And here I'm just going to be using an extension cord. And that's just to let us know that it's been plugged in. All mug presses have pretty much the same principle behind them, and the things that you need to keep in mind the most are your time and temperature. Now, depending on the mug that you're using, the time and temperature will differ. In this case, I'm sticking to 200 degrees as my temperature, and the time I'm setting for 310 seconds. And you'll see more about this just now. We're going to get to our printing stage, and we'll come back to this little thing later. For the printing process, you got to start off with finding yourself a nice little design or design one yourself. In this instance, I'm not designing anything. I've just taken a stock photo of the sand and the ocean meeting together, and I'm going to be using this to print from almost handle to handle and from top to bottom. I'm going to be printing this print a little bit bigger than the actual mug, just so we can test how close we can get handle to handle on this press. Now that our design is set, we can now print it. And we're going to be using our A4 AM.CO print paper. Right, we are back here again. Since we have printed our design, we can now then cut it out and then attach it to our mug ready for sublimation. Okay, we're going to move our press out the way so that we can cut out our sublimation print. Now before we get started, we're going to be using our cutter. We're going to need our special sublimation tape. It is heat resistant, specially made for this, and this you can also get from AM. And we're going to need a sublimatable mug with a special coating around the mug. You cannot use a normal mug from any shop, as it does not have the special coating for the sublimation ink to adhere to. Before I get to cutting this, another interesting fact that you should know: you can leave a white border around your design, as there is no white ink and there's no other ink outside of your print area to transfer it onto the mug. And in this case, I'm going to be using a ruler that's actually see-through. It's a piece of Perspex. It makes it easier for me to see where I'm cutting if I have to cut into the ink. If I don't want too much bleed, then I'm going to be using this ruler. It makes it a lot easier. When you are cutting out your sublimation design or handling the print, try not to touch the ink too much, as it will have a transfer of the oils from your finger into the print, and you could leave behind a blemish when you're pressing your mug. We've got our mug here. I'm going to be doing this the normal way that everyone else does it. It is up to you how you attach your design to it, but let's do it. I'm going to be using our sublimation resistant heat tape to attach our print to the mug, so that we know that it's securely fastened, so that it's not going to slip off, and it's going to keep even pressure while we are pressing the mug in the machine. Now you're simply just going to wrap the design all the way around as best you can, making sure that it looks even by you looking at it. And if it looks like it's all in the right place, then you just need to put one piece of tape on either side. And there you have got your design on your mug. And we are ready to put this into the press. However, I feel that this isn't the best way to do this. There is a better way to do this, more precise, and I'm going to show you how. We're going to cut up my second design, Alright, that's been cut out. Take our other mug, bring it over here. For this, we're going to be needing a pencil and any form of ruler. The reason for this is we're going to need to mark on our mug as well as the back of our design where our halfway points are, so that we can line up this exactly 100% to our mug. And this also goes for if you're not printing the entire mug, but you've only got one portion of your print on a logo just on the side. It's also easy to do this if you've got a full rectangle. First, we're going to take our mug, we're going to turn it upside down, we're going to take our ruler and we're going to place it directly in the middle of our mug. And that you can easily see by lining up with your handle. And once you've got the middle of your mug on from both sides, we're going to put in a little pencil mark on the opposite side of the handle on the bottom side of the mug. From there, we take our design, we turn it upside down, and then we're going to need to measure it from side to side. So here we've got 23 centimeters, so we'll need to take half of that and mark down on the edge of the paper where the halfway point is. We have successfully marked our middle point for our mug. We then can take our middle point that we've selected there and make sure that we have put it in the middle, and we line it up with our line on the mug itself. And that way we know it is 100% in the middle. I've lined it up. Now all I need to do is make sure that I put our tape down and make sure that there is no wave area here or a bubble in our print. So it's just so that when we are sublimating, the gap here needs to be tight, airtight, so that we don't get any blotches around our print. And there we have it. Now we are ready to successfully sublimate our mugs. We're going to move our mug press over so that you can see. As you can see, we've got our temperature at 200, and easiest way to set this up is by going mode. There you can see your temperature is selected, and you can push the plus and minus to either change it if need be. In this case, our minimum is 200, so we're going to leave it at 200. You can go more, just means that you need to bring down your time because you've added more heat. And we can see our time is now set to 10 seconds, which is after it has reached 200 degrees, which we'll see just now. Now, because I've never used this heat press before, I'm going to do on the settings that I think are correct. Your settings could vary depending on the mug that you have and also your environment. Again, the best way to do this is to test and see if your settings are correct. If they are correct, then awesome. If they need a bit of tweaking, just play around until you get your temperature and the time correct according to the mug that you have. Because not every sublimation mug has the same coating, and it's always going to be different no matter what. There is one last step that you need to do in order to put your mug in this press, and that is the pressure. And when I talk about pressure, I'm talking about this little wheel here. This wheel here you need to either unscrew or tighten in order to get the correct pressure for your mug. If the pressure is too high, you will crack the mug after a certain time that it's spent inside the machine. If it's too low, you won't get enough pressure, which means you'll have little blotches where ink hasn't completely burst onto the mug and actually sublimated it. In order to do that, you need to pull back your handle, and you're going to put in a mug, and you're going to slide it through the side, making sure that the handle is facing completely upright. Once you've done that, you can then push the handle forward, and as I've suspected, there's not enough pressure, as you can see. Now, you don't want to spend too much time with your mug inside this press while you're busy fiddling with the settings, is because it'll slowly start sublimating the mug and it will be a mistake that you'll make. So knowing that the pressure is not enough, we are going to tighten the screw, so we push this clamp forward. And I'm going to just do where I think it's enough, and I'm going to carry on putting the mug back in until I'm satisfied that the pressure doesn't feel like it's going to break it. It just needs to clip in, it doesn't need to force the handle forward. So I've tightened my screw, I'm going to put it back in. We're going to put our clamp forward, and it just snaps in, but I'm not confident that that's enough pressure, so I'll quickly tighten it again a little bit more, and that seems to be a much better getting there. There. Now that is just a bit of resistance, not too much, and that will prevent your mug from snapping or cracking. However, if your mug is not good, it'll happen. We have successfully got our setting of our pressure correctly. Now we can put our first mug in to this press. Make sure to slide it in sideways and make sure that your handle is 100% upright and that we are in between each area. Make sure it's in the middle, and we're going to push our clamp closed. We have put our mug in and we're ready to go, and we pushed our start, and this machine will run for its allotted time until our time has hit its correct temperature point. Then our time will activate, and then our mug should be finished. Again, we are just testing. As I said before, every mug is different from different suppliers, and every press is different as well, so we have to find our correct settings for our mug. So our base temperature is 200 degrees, which is the minimum amount of temperature needed for sublimation ink to actually transfer to our mug. From when we started our press with the mug in it, it'll climb to 230 degrees. Once it does that, it'll hit our timer at 40 seconds, and then afterwards, well, our press will be finished and we can pull it out. So now our timer has just been hit, so we're counting down from 40 seconds, and we will wait until it's finished. Now that it's finished, we can pull back our handle and carefully remove our mug and put it down. Another trick is to either leave it cool down with your print on, but I do not recommend that, as you'll get something called ghosting. Whereas if you move the mug around too much and your print sleeve isn't properly attached, it'll move around, and because it's still extremely hot, now this mug is almost at 300 degrees, because it's really hot, it will then still transfer some more ink, but not in the right place because your sleeve is now moved. So the best thing to do is, if you've got tweezers, if not, take a knife, and we want to remove our print. We just lift and we quickly pull it off. And there we have it. By looking at the mug and its color, I can see that the blacks aren't 100% black, and the vibrance of this mug isn't quite what it's supposed to be. So in this case, because the colors aren't 100%, what I recommend that this mug stays longer inside the press. The temperature is perfect. I just think it needs to be in there for a lot longer than 40 seconds to give it time for that ink to transfer onto the mug. So we've got our second mug. Let's put it in and do our second test. First off, I need to change my settings so it stays in there for longer, and the only way we can do that is by going to our last setting, which is time. And now we want to make this double the amount, because I want it to be a very nice print. The time I'm choosing here is 80 seconds because I want it to be in for a lot longer than it originally was. Take our second mug, I'm putting it in, and again, always remember to make sure that it's in straight, your pressure is done correctly, and that your handle is facing completely up. Now that that's set, we can start our timer. It's almost reaching temperature now at 330 degrees. Once it's hit our temperature at 330, it will then switch over to our 80-second timer, and once that's done, the mug is then able to take out. Okay, that is now done. We can take our mug out. And again, I always say it's preferred if you take off your print quickly rather than later in case you have any mistakes. So, there it is, the standalone mug press. This mug press heats up really fast. I'm confident that it'll work. If you are only buying a mug press, this is the solution. If you don't want to buy a multi-heat press and then get this as a separate, this on its own is really fast. It does what it needs to do. There's the proof in the pudding, and I think I'm very satisfied with this machine.
At AM.CO.za, we have always taken pride in our products and customer service. Our Google rating represents our commitment to providing our clients with the best support possible. We have officially achieved a rating of 4.9 stars and an astounding 699 reviews for our Jet Park branch in Johannesburg at the end of 2020. Hlobosile Kumalo, a level 6 local guide who has 64 reviews all over the country, says, "The tech support team is on point. I had an issue with my machine. I called them and they said I must bring it in. The person who helped me checked everything and made sure everything was 100%. Kind staff members helped me load my machine in and out of my car." This was just one of the many appreciative reviews we have received. These tags mean a lot to us. Thank you so much for your support. Let's move our attention to our branch in Montague Gardens of Cape Town, where we have achieved a rating of 4.8 stars and an amazing 299 reviews. Level 7 reviewer Dash Somolu, who has 119 reviews on Google, says, "Great company, great products and very well priced items. The training we received from Messias Chunga was top notch. He was very knowledgeable and knows his stuff." Another satisfied customer amongst many. We would like to thank you, our loyal customers. Thank you, South Africa. AM.CO.za. Achievement matters.